Stop everything you are doing and look closely at what is unfolding on your screen right now. Because the decision made in a corporate boardroom in South Korea is a flashing red signal for the entire global economy. A move so strategically profound that it should force every investor, every entrepreneur, and every person who cares about their financial future to completely reevaluate their understanding of what an asset truly is. This is not just another headline about cryptocurrency volatility. This is a masterclass in corporate foresight, a deliberate and calculated pivot that exposes the profound fragility of our traditional financial systems and lays bare the blueprint for survival and dominance in the coming digital age. So I need you to pay very close attention, to push aside all the noise and focus on this single, earth-shaking piece of data. According to Odaily, the South Korean publicly traded company Bitplanet has just increased its Bitcoin holdings by acquiring an additional 15 BTC, a strategic acquisition that officially brings the company's total Bitcoin reserves to a staggering 200 Bitcoin. Now, on the surface, to the untrained eye, that might just look like a company buying more of a digital asset, a simple diversification play. But I am here to tell you, with absolute conviction, that this is so much more. This is a declaration of financial independence. This is a corporation looking at the horizon, seeing the gathering storm of hyperinflation, unsustainable sovereign debt, and the systematic devaluation of every major fiat currency on the planet, and it is building an ark. And it's not building that ark out of paper promises or government bonds. It is building it out of the hardest, most secure, most provably scarce money that humanity has ever invented. Think about the sheer audacity and intelligence of this move. Bitplanet isn't a shadowy crypto fund. It is a publicly traded entity, subject to intense scrutiny, regulatory oversight, and the relentless pressure of quarterly earnings reports. For such a company to deliberately and consistently allocate shareholder capital into Bitcoin sends an unmistakable message to the entire market. Our confidence in the long-term store of value proposition of Bitcoin is greater than our confidence in holding cash, in making traditional investments, or in the stability of the current monetary order. They are effectively stating, on the public record, that they believe a decentralized, algorithmic, borderless network is a safer custodian of value than the central banks of the world. Let that sink in for a moment. This is a direct repudiation of the system that has governed global commerce for the last century. And they are not alone. We have seen this movie before with companies like MicroStrategy, which has transformed itself from a software company into a publicly traded Bitcoin acquisition vehicle, and with Tesla, and with a growing list of forward-thinking corporations. But Bitplanet's move is particularly significant because of its context. South Korea is a technological powerhouse, a nation with one of the highest rates of cryptocurrency adoption in the world. When a major South Korean company makes such a bold move, it isn't just a corporate decision. It is a cultural and economic signal to the entire Asian market, a region that is rapidly moving to define the next chapter of the digital economy. This acquisition of 15 more Bitcoin, pushing them to the 200 BTC milestone, is a tactical maneuver in a much larger strategic war. It's a war against monetary debasement. Every single day, central banks around the world are printing currency, diluting the purchasing power of every dollar, every won, every euro sitting in a bank account. Bitcoin, with its fixed supply of 21 million coins, is the ultimate antidote to this poison. It is digital scarcity. It is the only asset in the world that cannot be inflated away by any authority. By choosing to hold 200 of these immutable units, Bitplanet is shielding its treasury, and by extension its shareholders, from this silent theft. They are converting the rapidly depreciating fuel of the old economy, fiat currency, into the permanent appreciating energy of the new economy, digital hard money. This is not speculation. This is preservation. This is not a gamble. This is the most rational and responsible act of corporate governance one can imagine in the current macroeconomic climate. They are future-proofing their balance sheet in a way that would have been unimaginable just a decade ago, and they are doing it while the vast majority of their competitors are still asleep at the wheel. blissfully unaware that the very ground beneath their feet is shifting into a new paradigm. But the real, untold story here, the narrative that sends a chill down the spine of every traditional financier, is what this means for the very architecture of corporate power and global competition. We are witnessing the birth of a new corporate species, one that understands its balance sheet not just as a ledger of liabilities and assets, but as a dynamic, strategic fortress built to withstand the siege of economic uncertainty. Think about the message Bitplanet is sending to its competitors, not just in South Korea but across the globe. While other companies are hoarding cash that is guaranteed to lose purchasing power, or investing in complex, illiquid ventures with questionable returns, Bitplanet is executing a strategy of breathtaking clarity and power. They are converting the ephemeral, faith-based value of their local currency into a globally recognized, digitally native commodity with a perfectly inelastic supply. This isn't a side investment. This is a core repositioning of their entire treasury. Each of those 200 Bitcoin is a brick in a financial fortress that is immune to local economic downturns, political instability, and the whims of any single government. It is a reserve asset that can be verified by anyone, anywhere in the world at any time, without needing to trust a bank, an auditor, or a politician. This level of transparency and security is unprecedented in the history of corporate finance. It means that Bitplanet's value isn't just tied to its products or services anymore. It is now intrinsically linked to the most disruptive monetary network ever created. This move creates an irreversible competitive moat. How can a company that holds only depreciating fiat currency compete in the long term with a company whose treasury is actively appreciating in a globally scarce asset? The answer is, it can't. This creates a two-tiered future for corporations. Those, like Bitplanet, who have boarded the Bitcoin standard and are sailing towards a horizon of strengthened balance sheets and sovereign financial power, and those who are left clinging to the sinking ship of the old monetary system, wondering why their cash reserves buy less and less each year. Furthermore, this decision is a powerful magnet for talent and capital. The brightest engineers, the most innovative thinkers, the most forward-looking investors, they are all drawn to pioneers. They want to work for and invest in companies that demonstrate this level of strategic foresight. By making this bold commitment, Bitplanet is signaling that it is not a company of the past, but a visionary entity of the future. It is telling the world that it understands the fundamental technological shift happening beneath our feet, the shift from analog, trust-based systems to digital, proof-based systems. And this extends beyond mere finance. The same cryptographic principles that secure Bitcoin's ledger represent a new paradigm for security, identity, and data integrity. A company that grasps the profound implications of Bitcoin is likely a company that is also thinking deeply about other transformative technologies, from decentralized networks to new forms of digital ownership. This acquisition, therefore, is a proxy for a much deeper and more sophisticated corporate intelligence. It tells us that the leadership at Bitplanet is not just watching the trends. They are actively deciphering the underlying code of the future and positioning themselves at the very center of it. They see the inevitable digitization of all value, and they are placing their bet on the foundational layer of that new digital world. The 15 BTC they just added is not a random number. It is a carefully calculated deployment of capital, a continued vote of confidence in a future where corporate sovereignty is defined not by physical assets or government contracts, but by verifiable, scarce, and globally liquid digital property. This is the new playbook for corporate resilience and growth. This is the standard to which every public company will eventually be held. The question is no longer if corporations need to understand Bitcoin, but how quickly they can acquire it before the widening gap between them and the Bitplanets of the world becomes an unbridgeable chasm. This is the single most important financial story of our time, playing out in real time, and it demands your attention. Now, I want you to take this knowledge and do something with it. Go to the comments section below and tell me one thing. Do you believe your own government or the company you work for is prepared for this seismic shift? Or are they, like so many others, asleep at the wheel while the future is being built right before our eyes? Share your thoughts, because this conversation is just beginning.